The king of Nepal at the time was had a bunch of pro-democracy protests that he was trying to put down, and he was looking to buy attack helicopters and riot gear and tear gas. And
Ephraim's like, let's go.
So he got super excited. He actually got super excited, and he's like, he got off the phone. He's like, I'm gonna put together a Save the King package. Yeah.
He's obviously a little crazy, but what's your relationship like? Are you in your head like, okay, this guy's f***ing crazy, but I can make a lot of money, whatever, haha? Yeah. Or are you like actually friends with him, but he's also a little crazy?
So I've always been like friendly with him, but I didn't realize what a nut job he had turned into until like I started working with him. And like working with him, I really realized that there was definitely something off. Like the first time I realized that his brain was built a little different was we were driving. We went to like some gun show in Orlando, and we were driving down to Miami.
It's a bad start.
Yeah. What's a bad start?
Gun show in Orlando.
Why Orlando?
Oof. Disney World gun show right there. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean Orlando. They have a very big convention center, so they have a lot of like exhibitions and shows that
right
come
next to the
through there.
kids. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. So actually, that particular gun show, it's called the SHOT Show, which is more focused on like commercial shooting sports, and they tend to alternate between Vegas and Orlando. So yeah. So we were coming back from the SHOT Show in Orlando, and we were driving on like one of these highways where it's like very straight highway, but it's like just one lane going in each direction with like without any, just a line, like a paint line dividing it, so there's no like real median or anything, and there's no street lights either, so it's like out in the middle of like the country, and I'm like we're driving, he's driving, and he has his brights on, and there's cars coming the other way, and I tell him, Ephraim, you should like turn your brights down, when there's cars coming this way, and he's like, why, and I say, well, because you're gonna blind the driver, and he's like, who gives a shit? I got to see the road, and I said, yeah, but like, they could crash if you blind them. He's like, yeah, that's their problem. I got to see the road, let's worry about us, huh? And I'm like, you fucking idiot. They can crash into us. and he's like, oh,
now you got it.
Oh, good point. No, that's a good point. Yeah, you're right. And then he turns down the lights, so I was like, holy, like it didn't even occur to him that he should even care about causing someone to crash. It was only when it affected him that he was able to care at all. And at that point I was like, there is definitely something different about this guy. I don't want to I'm not like a psychotherapist or anything, but that's sounds like the definition of sociopath that I've heard.
Megalomaniacal, narcissist,
exactly.
All that. Yeah.
Like he just doesn't have the capacity for empathy for other people. And so that was like my first hint. I'm like, okay, I'm dealing with kind of like a nut job. And then what really set off my alarm bells was while I was actually working on the fuel contract, he got a call from one of his contacts in the industry that they wanted to supply the king of Nepal with the king of Nepal at the time was had a bunch of pro-democracy protests that he was trying to put down, and he was looking to buy attack helicopters and riot gear and tear gas. And
Ephraim's like, let's fucking go.
So he got super excited. He actually got super excited, and he's like, he got off the phone. He's like, I'm gonna put together a Save the King package. Yeah, and I like he was super excited and like ready to go, and I told him like, Ephraim, that's kind of messed up, like you're gonna supply the king who's like trying to put down a pro-democracy protest. I'm like, are you sure that's legal, first of all? And if it is, I mean, even if it is legal, which I don't think it is, I don't think the State Department's gonna approve you supplying the king. I don't think that's really messed up. And he goes to me, he's like, bro, just work on your fuel contracts. You leave this stuff to me, okay? And so I thought to myself, holy crap, this guy's literally willing to do anything. And
that's a few months in.
Yeah, that was like a month and a half in.
All right.
Yeah.
Did you? I'm just curious because that's a good example. This is where we're talking about arms deals here,
right?
you can kind of get lost in the fact that, oh, you're just selling product. You're not there. You don't see it.
Yeah.
But when you hear a visual example, at least, where you're not seeing it, but like he comes to you and says, a king of a country, so immediately you're thinking despot,
right,
has pro-democracy protesters, meaning like citizens who want freedom,
right,
coming in, and we're going to sell arms to the king so that he can shoot these people and kill them and stay the king. Is there a moral question that comes in? Like you just said, that sounds wrong. But then on an overall basis after that deal aside, is there a moral question to the entire industry that then comes into your head? Like, wait, there might be money in this, but this is some shady shit?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that you always have to think about, what effect your business and your actions in general in life have on the world, right? So, but I mean, I think that supplying the king with other things is also just as wrong. And yes, I mean, supplying him with heavy machine guns is obviously wrong, right? But his soldiers also, need to eat, and they need to have uniforms, and they need to have all sorts of, they need to have fuel, right? Without all those other things, his army can't operate either. So I don't see a very big difference of supplying weapons versus supplying, fuel for the tank or fuel for the Jeep that the soldiers are riding around in, or food for the soldiers. So if you're supporting a despot, you're supporting them, with guns or other stuff, it's still support.
That's an even bigger point than I made. But you're answering my question. It's even beyond the weapons for you. It's
absolutely.
The whole thing.
People tend to focus on the weapons because it's the most visible aspect of the bad things that people are doing. But armies need everything. So if you're supplying a dictator with food, I think you're just as culpable as the arms dealer.
I think there's an argument there, for sure.
Those soldiers aren't going to fire those weapons if they're hungry.
But it didn't, even though because again, like obviously you do have empathy, so you are thinking about this. You're like, I don't know about that. Yeah. But you still stay in. Yeah. Is that really just like, hey, we can make a lot of money here. This is a little crazy. I'll just stay away from doing that kind of thing.
So that's what I told myself. I told myself, this guy's messed up and he's doing things that I definitely don't agree with, but I'm not going to do that, right? I'm going to work on my fuel contracts. I'm only going to sell to the U.S. government, who I hope is doing the right thing, and at that time, I mean, there's a lot of complicated situations the government gets into. I definitely don't agree with everything the U.S. government does, but I think by and large, the United States is a force for good. I do believe that.
I think it's better than. And I'm a little biased, but I think it's better than pretty much anything else around the world. But sometimes it's the best piece of shit on top of a steaming pile of shit.
That is true. That is true. I mean, look, as bad as the U.S. can be sometimes, I think if China or Russia ran the world, it'd be a lot worse.
I agree 100%.
So yeah. I mean, that's not. And the good thing is that we have democracy, so we could vote people out if they do the wrong thing. And so I didn't feel bad about like supplying the United States. It's particularly in Afghanistan, we were supplying the people fighting the Taliban. Right. And the Taliban are, not great guys, right? So I didn't feel guilty about that at all. Like, I was very happy to supply the people fighting the Taliban.
Yeah, I don't think the thing that ended up, like, getting you in trouble here, I don't think that was... I think it was a decent cause. Yeah. That's not the issue. We'll get into what ended up happening with all the details, but that's not the issue at play here, that like you were funding Victor Boot or some shit like that. There was nothing like that going on. Thank you for watching the video, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.